September 7th, 1944. Dawn settles heavily over the damp forests outside Aachen, Germany. The air smells of wet leaves and cold metal. Somewhere in the distance, an engine hums, low, steady, and completely out of place. A single American Jeep rolls forward on a narrow road, its tires crunching softly over gravel and mud. No convoy follows. No infantry advances behind it. Just one vehicle, moving deeper into German territory. From concealed positions, German officers lift their binoculars. They watch in silence. Fingers hover near triggers. One officer mutters under his breath, unsure whether to be impressed or alarmed. This is not how attacks begin. This is not how wars are fought. Later, one of those officers would say, "We thought it was a trap. No sane man would drive that far alone." The Jeep slows, then continues. The engine echoes briefly through the trees before fading again. The Germans wait for artillery. They wait for tanks. They wait for the inevitable blow that never comes. In that moment of hesitation, measured in seconds but heavy with consequence, a decision is made without words, a decision shaped by fear, doctrine, and expectation. And in that silence, the course of battlefield quietly begins to change. By early September 1944, the war in Western Europe had turned sharply against Germany. Following the Allied breakout from Normandy after Operation Cobra on July 25th, American forces surge across France with astonishing speed. Cities fall not after weeks of siege, but in days or hours. German units retreat, regroup, and retreat again, struggling to form stable defensive lines. Aachen holds special significance. It is not just another city. It is the first major German city the Allies will attempt to capture. Charlemagne once ruled from here. Symbolically, its loss will be devastating. Strategically, it guards approaches to the siege-free line, Germany's last major defensive barrier. On the American side, command falls under General Courtney Hodges of the U.S. First Army. His units are aggressive, stretched thin but confident. Initiative is encouraged. Speed is rewarded. The belief is simple. Keep moving, keep pressure on the enemy, and do not give them time to recover. The German defenders belong largely to the LXXXI Corps, experienced officers, many veterans of the Eastern Front. They are trained to expect deception. Lone vehicles often signal reconnaissance ahead of artillery or armored attacks. German doctrine emphasizes caution, layered defense, and controlled responses. This is a battlefield defined by uncertainty. Front lines blur. Refugees clog roads. Radio communication falters. In such chaos, assumptions become dangerous. The recurring sound of an engine, appearing briefly, then fading, becomes a symbol of this uncertainty. For the Germans watching that Jeep, it represents everything they fear: deception, ambush, annihilation. For the Americans driving it, it represents something else entirely: momentum. Two leadership cultures are about to collide, not in a firefight, but in a pause. And that pause will matter more than anyone realizes. The German officers watch the Jeep for nearly 10 minutes. 10 minutes that feel much longer. One officer insists it must be bait. Another warns that American artillery could already be zeroed in on their position. No one wants to be responsible for triggering a disaster. Machine gun crews wait behind sandbags, belts of ammunition ready. Fingers tighten, then loosen again. The order to fire never comes. From the American perspective, the moment feels entirely different. The Jeep belongs to a forward reconnaissance element operating under standing orders that encourage initiative when resistance appears light. Weeks of rapid advance have reshaped expectations. The enemy has been retreating. Roads have been open. Risks have paid off again and again. Inside the Jeep, exhaustion mixes with adrenaline. The driver grips the wheel, eyes scanning tree lines. The officer beside him listens for sounds that never come. Every second without gunfire feels surreal. General George S. Patton's philosophy hangs invisibly over moments like this. A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan next week. It is not recklessness. It is belief in momentum as a weapon. Back in the German lines, doubt grows heavier with each passing second. If the Jeep is ignored and followed by an attack, the road will be lost. If they fire and reveal themselves unnecessarily, counter-fire could wipe them out. Doctrine urges patience. Experience urges caution. The engine grows fainter. The Jeep reaches a bend in the road and disappears behind the trees. Silence returns. The recurring motif, the engine fading into nothing, settles in the minds of the watching officers. They have waited for certainty. Instead, they are left with only questions. And in war, unanswered questions have a way of becoming irreversible mistakes. Hours pass. No artillery barrage arrives. No tanks appear. The feared trap never springs. Instead, reports begin filtering in from nearby positions, American infantry advancing cautiously, then confidently, through areas assumed to be covered. The truth becomes unavoidable. The Jeep was not bait. It was a belief that hesitation on the other side could be exploited. By the time German officers issue orders to reposition, the opportunity has passed. American units flow through gaps, bypassing strong points rather than confronting them head-on. Roads are taken intact. Defensive cohesion unravels without a decisive battle ever being fought. During later interrogations, a German major admits the failure plainly. We assumed no one would advance without protection. That assumption cost us the road. It is not spoken with bitterness, but with clarity. This moment is not about bravery versus cowardice. It is about flexibility versus rigidity. German leadership culture demands control and certainty. American leadership in 1944 increasingly rewards audacity and speed. The clash between those philosophies plays out not with explosions, but with silence. Human reactions tell the real story. A German lieutenant watches his men withdraw yet again, wondering when retreat became routine. An American scout wipes sweat from his face, stunned that the gamble succeeded so completely. When a Jeep's engine is heard again, it is no longer alone. Trucks follow. Infantry moves up. What began as a solitary sound became a chorus of advance. Fear chose safety. Courage chose motion. And motion won. The decision not to fire, made quietly in a forest outside Aachen, reshapes the fight for the city. It is a reminder that leadership is not always tested in moments of chaos, but in moments of hesitation, when doing nothing feels safer than acting. Between September 7th and September 9th, 1944, American forces tightened the noose around Aachen. German units fall back toward the Siegfried Line, attempting to regroup behind fortifications that now feel closer than ever. The missed chance to disrupt reconnaissance is noted in post-war German assessments as an example of excessive caution under pressure. What is striking is how little attention the Americans give the incident. There is no citation, no dramatic report. It blends seamlessly into the narrative of relentless advance. For them, it was simply another road taken. Captured German officers describe a shared emotion, disbelief. One says quietly, "We waited for the blow that never came." The expectation of catastrophe blinded them to opportunity. Civilians suffer as always, caught between movements, shellfire, and retreating armies. Soldiers on both sides are exhausted, hungry, and unsure how long the war will last. Victory and defeat feel abstract in moments like these, overshadowed by survival. Yet consequences remain real. Aachen will eventually fall after brutal fighting. The road taken by a single Jeep becomes one of many paths, leading deeper into Germany. The sound of that engine, once a warning, once a mystery, lingers in memory as a reminder of what hesitation can cost. Today, this incident rarely appears in textbooks. No medals were awarded, no monuments raised. Yet military academies still teach its lesson in different forms. Leadership under uncertainty is not about knowing the outcome. It is about choosing to act when certainty is impossible. The single Jeep outside Aachen represents a shift in warfare, a recognition that momentum itself can unbalance an enemy conditioned to expect caution. The Germans sought safety in certainty. The Americans accepted the risk in silence. The recurring motif resolves at last. The engine does not fade anymore. It advances, joined by others, carrying with the weight of decisions made in moments no one thought would matter. Wars are often remembered for their battles, but they are shaped just as much by pauses, by moments when someone chooses not to act. And sometimes History turns not on gunfire, but on the sound of an engine driving forward, alone,